Welcome everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Grinding Gears. Glad y'all could join me this week. Hope everyone's had a wonderful, safe week as always. Hope you were able to get some miles put down. Hope you was able to get some money put in the bank, just like always. And if you wasn't able to get enough money put in the bank for your liking this week, just hang on, because we have a story coming up here in a little while that might help you just put a little more money in the bank. We'll discuss that here in a minute. But yeah, it's another week. I'm back on the road. Been back on the road all week. Uh, Made a trip down to Harlingen, Texas. Delivered down there Wednesday. Came back up to North Louisiana, where I load out of. Loaded a load and headed out here to Clayton, North Carolina. I'm actually out here now to deliver in the morning, and then head back to North Louisiana again and see what we have. That's pretty much all I do, is pull out of North Louisiana up there and go wherever they tell me to go. But yeah, counting down the days to vacation here. Got about 4 weeks left. Excuse me. Be the first family vacation we've taken in 2 years, so definitely looking forward to that. 7 days in a house with a saltwater pool in Branson, Missouri. That sounds like a pretty good day to me. But yeah, so that's what I got going on. Like I said, hope everyone's had a good, safe week, and we're gonna jump off into it. As usual, I got a couple of little housekeeping items at first that I want to knock out the way before we get into the stories. First one, as always, is the audio quality. I address this every episode just for, in case this is the first time you're listening to a podcast. I do understand the audio quality is not the best on this. I am recording this in my truck. I am not in a soundproof booth. This is not a professional podcast. I am, however, trying the third microphone on the third episode. I do want to try to give y'all the best audio quality I can and still keep it a little real. And that microphone that I tried last week, it apparently was a little too good, and it kind of made that episode sound like a 1970s Ron Jeremy porn film, because I went back and listened to it, and there was more breathing in that episode than there is in most after hour Cinemax films, we'll call it. So I am using a new microphone again this week. We'll try this and see how this works. So, like I said, audio quality, it's going to be what it's going to be recording in my truck. I am trying to give y'all the best that I can. Next little announcement real quick is I have gotten the podcast released on Apple Podcast and on YouTube also. So now you can find it on, I'm going to call it the 4 big players, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Do me a favor, whatever platform you're listening on, hit the like button, share it. But if you hit the like button, that pushes makes the app push it out to more people. Try to get this out to more people to listen. But yeah, hit the like button, share it, and do me a favor. I am not asking for a good review. I am asking for an honest review. Whatever app you're listening to this on, leave me a comment, leave me a review, and leave an honest review. So I know what to change, know what to do, know what to try to make better. You know, I know I can't appease everybody, but try to appease the masses and make it where as enjoyable as I can for everybody. And also, when you share it, tell your friends about it. I want people that are not in the trucking community to listen to this, because I want, hopefully, people that aren't in the trucking community can listen to this and learn something, kind of learn what goes on in the trucking industry. Try to bridge that gap between the trucking industry and the general public, and try to bring everybody together. The last little announcement I have is I've started a Facebook page. It is called Grinding Gears on Facebook. Go check it out. Go give it a follow. And what I'm going to do on that page is little stories that pop up during the week that I want to share with y'all but don't really have time to put in the podcast. That's where I'm going to share them. I'm going to post videos on the Facebook page, and all the little stories and tidbits, just to kind of something give y'all something during the week if you're interested. If not, no hard feelings. Um, but yeah, now that we have all the announcements and housekeeping things out of the way, we're gonna go on ahead and jump into our stories. And like I was saying, I hope everybody was able to make some money this week. And if you did, but you don't think you quite made enough money, I have a story right here that we're gonna see how it's gonna help us or hurt us in the long run. But anyways, this story comes off of CDL Life. It's actually where I get most of my stories. So this one is groundbreaking bill to guarantee overtime pay to truckers who work over 40 hours. And I know where everybody's brain just went. Well, majority of truckers don't get paid by the hour. They get paid by the mile or percentage. I understand that. We'll discuss that. I'll give you my opinions on that here in a minute. But let me read this to you. It says, bipartisan legislation promises to compensate truckers more fairly for the hours that they work by guaranteeing overtime pay. On March 6th, the Guaranteeing Overtime for Truckers Act, or they're calling it the GOT Act, G-O-T Act, was reintroduced in the U.S. House of Representatives by Representative Mark Takano and Jeff Van Drew. Companion legislation will be introduced in the Senate by Senators Alex Padilla and Ed Markey. The bill would overturn a provision called the Motor Carrier Exemption in 1938's Fair Labor Standards that excludes truckers from the time and a half overtime pay that most workers are entitled to earn after putting in 40 hours a week. The GOT Act has been introduced multiple times over the past several years but has never advanced to become a law. The bill is endorsed by the Teamsters and the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, or OIDA. And then this is some quotes right here. The exclusion of truck drivers from federal overtime protections must come to an end, said Teamsters General President Sean M. O'Brien. The Teamsters Union is proud to support the Guaranteeing Overtime for Truckers Act, which will right the decades-long wrong that serves only to harm drivers and to the benefit of their employers. I have my opinion on the Teamsters, but he's pretty spot on with that. This is a quote from the OIDA President Todd Spencer. American truckers are the backbone of our economy, keeping goods moving and ensuring our supply chains stay strong. Yet, despite their essential role, trucking remains one of the few professions in America denied guaranteed overtime pay. It's long past time the hardworking men and women behind the wheel are fairly compensated. And I have to agree with him. For what a trucker sacrifices, just life, family. I know it's a sensitive subject, but the mental health of truck drivers, for everything a truck driver experiences, sacrifices, does on a daily basis, no, we are not fairly compensated. Now, the problem with this is there's tons and tons of questions, and just, I mean, off the jump, I can come up with a couple of ways of how employers are still going to try to get around this. I know the biggest argument off the jump, what everybody's going to scream is truckers are not paid by the hour, so how is this going to work? I've already heard a few people saying that, oh, well, they're going to go off of e-log hours or they're going to go off of log hours. That's fine. Log hours is fine. But we're still paid by the mile, or some people are paid by percentage. So what are they? I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to give us, like those of us that are paid by the mile? Are they going to give us rate and a half on the mile? I mean, are they going to up our mileage if that's what I'm saying? There's so many questions here. Is this only going to benefit local drivers that are paid by the hour? I'm not trying to call anybody out right here. I'm not trying to single anybody out. But you have like your people that drive for Coca-Cola, your food delivery guys. A lot of those people are paid by the hour. That's fine. But I also think, I may be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I also think a lot of those guys are already paid overtime. How are you going to pay overtime to somebody working over 40 hours that doesn't get paid by the hour? Is my question, and that's going to be the biggest question. Guys that make percentage, you get paid percentage of the load. How are you going to get paid overtime on that percentage? I think it's wonderful that something like this is being introduced, and I think it's wonderful that people are finally standing up and trying to help truck drivers. I think it's a phenomenal thing. I just don't understand how they're going to do it and how they're going to make it work to make it work for everybody, for all the truck drivers out there. Everybody's situation is a little different. So how are they going to make this work for everybody? There's so many questions, and I did do some more research and try to look into it, and I couldn't find anything anywheres as of today when I'm recording this. I couldn't find anything that gave some kind of explanation on how they plan to make this work. Sorry, had to get my little nicotine fix off my vape. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I do puff on a vape. I quit smoking, and I'm a truck driver. I need my nicotine so I don't kill nobody. Again, like I said, this is a real podcast. Y'all are gonna hear some noise. But anyways, you know, it's a wonderful thing that they're trying to do. I am not knocking that. And that also brings up, okay, what is that gonna do? I'm not trying to be the negative Ned here, but I'm gonna play the devil's advocate for a minute. What is that gonna do to the cost of goods? We're already battling inflation. We're already battling horrendous inflation. But trucking companies are not going to give up profit because they're forced to pay their employees more money. They're going to pass that cost on. So where is that cost going to get passed to? We'll just use Walmart as an example. Walmart's mileage pay drivers. If Walmart figures out how to pay these drivers overtime, you're going to get paid overtime, okay? Well, that's going to cost Walmart more money to pay those drivers. Well, that's going to cut into Walmart's profit. Walmart's not going to eat that. Walmart's going to pass that on to the consumer. So because the driver's getting paid more money, naturally you're going to see the cost of stuff inside of a Walmart store go up. That's that devil's advocate thing. I mean, like I said, there's so many variables and so many questions that still need to be answered with this. So many things that need to be explained. I don't know how they're going to do this. Again, glad they're trying to do something for the truck drivers. Just don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, like I said in I think it was last week's episode, talking about, there's just hundreds and thousands, just hundreds of thousands of truck drivers out there. You know, you got a lot of your large companies that have hundreds and thousands of drivers. You have a lot of small companies. Those companies aren't going to give up their profit. So I'm not picking on them. I'm just pulling them out of thin air as an example. But Swift has thousands of drivers employed. Swift can afford to run the cheaper rates that we're seeing right now and still pay their drivers. Well, Swift's operating on a certain profit margin. When they have to start paying their drivers more, well, all of a sudden Swift's not going to want to haul for those rates. So immediately you say, okay, well, having to pay the drivers more is going to bring the rates up. Who's going to lose money for the higher rates to pay the drivers more? Nobody. So the company that produces the goods, they're going to get charged more to ship it because it costs more to pay the driver. Well, if they're going to get charged more to ship it, whoever they're selling it to, they're going to up the price on what they're selling it. Which, if they're selling it to somebody that's going to then in turn around and be a provider for the general public, well, guess what? The general public is going to pay a higher price. It's a story that we're definitely going to have to stay up to date with. I'm going to try to follow this as hard as I can, and I will, anytime I see any updates, any questions that get answered, I will definitely let y'all know in episodes. I will post it on Facebook. Like I said, this is something we really need to keep an eye on. It's just there's so many questions that need answers. And hopefully we get them. Hopefully this works out for everybody. And mentioning those hundreds of thousands of truck drivers out there that this overtime pay could affect, one flip side to that is this next story that I'm going to bring up that has so many what am I looking for right here? Has so many opinions that can be had on this. And I have mine, and I'm going to give you some of them. And just fair warning, this story may make me get a little political. Just a fair warning. But let's jump off into this, because when I saw this the other day, I was flabbergasted, to say the least. And I had to do some research because I just could not believe that this was how a certain thing worked. Let me read this for you. Arkansas bill bans non-citizens from operating a commercial vehicle without a U.S. issued CDL and English language proficiency. Let that marinate for a minute. I'm going to read it again. Arkansas bill bans non-citizens from operating a commercial vehicle without a U.S. issued CDL and English language proficiency. I'm telling you right now, my opinions on this have nothing to do with the immigration and the deportation and all this that's going on. I'm keeping those opinions out of this. My opinions are strictly on the part of that title that says without a U.S. issued CDL. My first thought was, how I'm not understanding this without a U.S. issued CDL thing. Then I read into this story. Y'all get ready. Put your seatbelts on for this one, because it's a good one. A bill recently introduced in Arkansas would crack down on non-citizens working as commercial truck drivers, as well as the carriers that employ them. So Yeah, let's finish reading. On February 25th, the Secure Roads and Safe Trucking Act of 2025, otherwise known as HB 1569, was introduced in the Arkansas State Legislature by Representative Wayne Long, Senator John Payton, and Representative John Eubanks. The bill seeks to implement the following provisions. Provision 1 requires a domestic, and when they're talking domestic, they are talking issued by the U.S., District of Columbia, or Puerto Rico. But it requires a domestic commercial driver's license in order to operate a commercial vehicle in Arkansas. Truck drivers with a B1, B2, or B1, B2 combination visa would be banned from operating a commercial vehicle in Arkansas. Penalties for the violation would include impoundment of the commercial vehicle and a fine of $5,000 for the commercial vehicle operator. Provision 2 requires commercial vehicle operators to demonstrate English language proficiency sufficient to being able to read road signs and warning signs, understand traffic control devices, and communicate effectively in an emergency with emergency services, law enforcement, other drivers. Operating a commercial vehicle without proficiency in the English language could result in a fine of $5,000. Provision 3 establishes the offense of criminal use of a commercial vehicle if a non-citizen without a U.S. issued CDL causes the bodily harm of another person while operating a commercial vehicle. This offense would be a Class D felony that comes with a minimum 6-month prison term. Provision 4. If a non-citizen without a U.S. issued CDL is operating a commercial vehicle and causes a fatal crash, they can be convicted of a Class B felony with a minimum of a 10-year prison sentence. And then Provision 5 is it would penalize trucking companies that provide commercial vehicles to ineligible operators with a fine of up to $10,000. And then at the very last thing it says, the bill has also established a public safety emergency that would allow it to go into effect immediately upon passing. Well, yeah, it sure in the fuck is a public safety emergency. You mean to tell me that the federal government, the United States federal government, is allowing non-residents to run commercial vehicles, 80,000-pound trucks and trailers, up and down the fucking interstate without a CDL, without the proper training? The federal government is allowing this. I couldn't believe it when I read this story. So I went and did a little bit of research. This B1, B2 combination visa, I'm not going to go real deep into it. You can do your own research and look it up. A B1, B2 visa is a visa that allows a foreigner to come over here and drive a semi up and down our roads for 6 months. Are you fucking kidding me? Shit like this is what's killing the trucking industry. Shit like this is what's destroying the lifestyle and the livelihood that so many people rely on. I understand there's a lot of people's going to say, oh, this is just another way to get rid of illegals. And no, these people are not illegal. These people have come over here legally on a visa that does not qualify them to do the job they're doing, and the federal government is okay with that. The federal government is risking the lives of every American citizen on the road by allowing these people to drive. Why does something like this have to start at the state level? Why Why is this even allowed in the federal government to start with? Who in the federal government thought this was a good idea? I'm not talking about people coming up from Mexico illegally. I'm not talking about people coming from overseas illegally. These are people that come here legally, and the government said, oh, you have this visa? Here, go drive a truck. I looked into this B1, B2 combination visa. The only stipulation in this visa is it says that they have to prove that they do not intend to stay here. And it says that they have to prove that they're hauling freight for international, I forget exactly, and I don't have it. It was basically that their intentions are to move freight internationally. Well, okay, so are they going into Canada and down into Mexico? And that classifies them as international? But it states that part of it is that they're hauling internationally. But the biggest part was that it kept saying they can only do it for 6 months. Well, okay, so somebody comes over here for 6 months. You see it every day. If you're a trucker listening to this, I know some of the general public may not understand or believe this, but as a trucker, you're going to know what I'm talking about. You see it every day. These people are coming from overseas. They come over here, they buy a truck, they start a little trucking company. They're the ones that are hauling this freight for pennies on the dollar, making it impossible for anybody to survive in trucking, because they don't care if they make money or not. They don't need the money. They're not doing it for the money. Why they're doing it, I really don't know. They don't need the money. That's not why they're doing it. And that's why we're seeing these rates that are in the tank. But that's also why you're seeing, I'm recording this on Sunday, what's the date today? March 9th. Sunday afternoon. Here just Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, in Lawrenceburg, New Mexico, there was a bridge strike. An excavator on a flatbed, they're saying a flatbed, I'm not sure if it was a flatbed or a step deck, hit a 16'9" bridge. Do you realize how tall that excavator had to be sitting on whatever trailer it was sitting on to hit a 16'9" bridge? The bridge was hit so hard that if you go look at the pictures of it, the entire bridge is sagging. The entire bridge is going to have to be replaced. It ripped the excavator off of the trailer, demolished the excavator. The excavator was sitting upside down in the middle of the interstate. I'm probably going to piss some people off when I say this, but that's exactly what the fuck you get when you hire these people that don't have a CDL and don't care about the money. That's what you get when you get the cheapest person you can find to move your shit. You get a bridge destroyed, you get a piece of machinery destroyed, you risk the life of everybody on the interstate around that person, all because you wanted it done for the cheapest you could possibly find. And who is the cheapest? A non-citizen that does not have a U.S. issued CDL. This is bullshit. I hope Arkansas gets this passed immediately. I hope other states follow through with this. And I hope this gains enough attention that the federal government's hand is forced to change this. My family runs up and down the interstate every day. I don't want my family having to drive around somebody like this. I mean, it's stating provisions 3 and 4 in this establishes offenses, criminal offenses, if there's an accident with bodily injury or an accident with a fatality. Me, as a U.S. citizen, as somebody that was born here, a U.S. citizen, if I get pulled over tomorrow and do not have a valid CDL, I go to jail. If, as a U.S. citizen, I go to jail if I'm caught driving this truck without a CDL. But you're telling me someone can come from overseas with a visa and get on our interstates and run a truck? I have to keep up with a CDL and all the required endorsements to do my job. I had to go to school to get my CDL. You have to hazmat. I do hazmat. You have to stringent requirements to be eligible for hazmat. Oversized. There's a lot of knowledge that has to, and it's not knowledge that you can be told. There's a lot of knowledge with oversized that you have to learn over time. But these people can come from overseas and run trucks up and down the road with none of that knowledge, with none of the training that I had to do, none of the requirements that I have to meet to be able to do my job, but they can come from overseas and do it. How in the fuck is this okay? And how does the federal government find this okay? I've said it before. I've said it again. The federal government don't give a fuck about you. They obviously don't care about your safety because they're putting you out there with these people. And why is it that it takes a state like Arkansas to finally realize, hey, this is a problem, we need to address this? I've been truck driving 20 years. I had no idea that this is how these people were over here driving trucks. No clue. And I don't remember where I saw it. I don't remember if it was a podcast I was listening to or a video I watched. And this guy was saying that he talked to a truck driver that had been in this country less than a week, less than 7 days, and he was already in a truck hauling freight. And when I heard that, I'm like, man, that just doesn't make no sense to me. But I didn't know how they were doing it. Well, now I do. They have no training. They have met no requirements. They came over here and the federal government said, oh, you want to drive a truck? Here, go drive one. Do it with this visa. Can I apply for that visa? No, I'm a citizen. Being I'm a citizen of this country, I have to meet, maintain, and or surpass every requirement that the United States Department of Transportation and the FMCSA. I have to meet, maintain, and or surpass every requirement that they have put in place to do my job, to try to make a living and support my family, to hopefully get some of this overtime that this other bill's talking about. But yet, these people can come from overseas and do it on a visa because they're only going to be here 6 months, and they showed proof that they're going to leave in 6 months. So, what, every 6 months we have a new round of people here that have no fucking clue what they're doing on our roads? This is bullshit. Straight up, this is bullshit. Like I said, I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a broken record on this. I hope Arkansas gets this passed. They are damn right when they said right here, a public safety emergency. This needs to go into effect. This needs to be federal. I'm just telling you right now, this is bullshit. And this is only my 3rd episode, and I'm probably going to get canceled when I say this. But if you have a problem with me being this fired up over this, you're part of the fucking problem. Trucking is a lifestyle and a livelihood for so many people. And it could be a lifestyle and a livelihood for somebody coming from overseas. I would have no problems with that if they were required to do the same things I have to do my job here. That's what I have the biggest problem with. Why are these people allowed to come and do the same job that I'm doing and not have to meet the requirements that I have to meet as someone that is a citizen of this country? It's bullshit. But that's another story that I will absolutely keep you updated on. Uh, Please, like I said, go find Grinding Gears on Facebook, like it, follow it. You will see updates for these stories and all stories that I talk about on the podcast. Updates will be posted on the Facebook page. Um, like I said, please, whatever app you're listening on, please hit the like button, leave me an honest review, share it, tell your friends about it. Um, let's start rebuilding the saving. Let's get our trucking industry back. And when I say that, I'm talking to my fellow truck drivers. Let's get our trucking industry back. Let's bring back the lifestyle that caused so many of us to fall in love with this job. I understand there's people out there that are just doing it for a paycheck. They may not agree with that statement, but there is a lot of people out there that genuinely care about the trucking industry and the lifestyle that it is, and help me help the industry, and let's try to bring that back. Let's bring back the brotherhood of trucking. Let's bring back what trucking, the lifestyle that trucking is. Oh, and you can help me by sharing this. Get it out there. Tell people about the Facebook page. It may be a small step. It I don't know, but just try, do what you can to help me. That's all I ask out of you. But anyways, we're gonna wrap this one up. I'm gonna call it a day. I need to start getting ready to get delivered in the morning, and start watching next week and see what kind of stories we can come up with next week. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and cut this one off. I hope everybody has a phenomenal upcoming week this week. Keep it safe out there on the road. Keep it shiny side up. And drivers, do me a favor and remember, the fuel island is just that. It's a fuel island. It's not a rest area. Get the fuck out of it when you're done fueling. Flowboard out, read the mail.